Looks like we are going to be in the lobby. We are going to be taken to, I'm not going to say it until we get in the draft, but we're going to be taken to one of my favorite maps. It's an interesting map. It is going to be Cursed Hollow. Surprise, surprise. There's a hero that we've not seen from either team yet tonight that is very relevant on this map, and it's Hanzo. Hanzo is insanely powerful in Cursed Hollow because of the strength in bosses, because of the narrow corridors. Vision control becomes very, very important. He has a 20-second cooldown ability that gives vision for 8 seconds minimum, up to 12, depending on reveal times. And people can't necessarily push in to an area that's already being revealed.
Did Luxorian Snake, did they stay on the left? I actually didn't look.
I did not look either.
Okay. Hopefully our lovely production staff was more on the ball than we were. But first pick showing up here. I think it was Luxorian still on the left. Yeah, because they don't want to deal with Alex Strazen. Yeah, they got to be on the left.
That respect ban coming through against you. It's always nice when you play a hero against a team, and then later on in that same set, people ban that hero against you, and you're like, yeah, that's right. That's what you should be doing. I think it's one of the best things about going into a game 3 in a set like this, or when in best of 5s, you get to game 3, 4, 5. The respect bans really start to come out because it's obvious when someone's good at a hero, it's more important to ban the thing they're good at than the thing that's meta.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you play the meta. Sometimes the map is go, but you also need to make sure that you're respecting what the enemy team can do. Alex Strazen kicked out almost 200,000 healing in game number 1. That's just a boatload to deal with. I'll potentially give you some other high-level S-tier hero in the overall grand scheme of things if I can take that off the board. But at the same time, they have first picks, so if they wanted URL themselves, they could very well help themselves to that.
Good. And this is a map where offlaning is not the most important thing. But, it is important. Vision and soaking and Abathur, basically. Probably his best map. Towers might be as good, but Cursed Hollow, Abathur, you're already feeling really confident.
I can dig it. I mean, we saw them use Abathur in the first battleground on Infernal Shrines, and they did do a serviceable job with that hero. I think those skills could be put to further use on a larger scale map like Cursed Hollow, but I start to wonder about how their team fights are going to go. If they go for more sustained damage, if they're looking to play the long con, we didn't see them do that well on that front. Really curious to see how they play it out. Do we see a Genji here as a denial, potentially? Who knows?
I want to see... Okay, so we're going to see ETC Hanzo. ETC, arguably the best peel tank in the game, so whatever kind of dive composition they go for to force that fast fight with the Abathur. And then they have the Hanzo, who can race bosses. At this point, we need to see a boss control tool, because they're going to be able to get there with the Abathur mines. They're going to be able to have an Abathur mine on boss and be like, oh, they're doing boss. And they'll be able to rotate in time as long as they're correctly positioned on the map. But just getting there isn't necessarily enough if you don't have something that can actually steal the boss away from that Hanzo race once it's finished.
ETC Hanzo is such a shot across the bow to say, hey, if you don't try to control these points, we're more than happy to do so ourselves. They're going to be looking to get camps early and often with that setup. There's an argument for both Mosh Pit and Stage Dive on a larger battleground like this, especially going against an Abathur. Maybe you have him show up later after he soaks. Maybe gets a talent here, jumps in, hits the trampoline onto the back of your face. 2 heroes now to select for Luxorian Sun. Do they go for their main clone target here? They went with Genji last time. And they go back to it. And the denial on Stukov. They're really targeting the support play. Interesting.
Interesting Stukov pickup, because Stukov's not the best hero for healing Genji. You can have a very narrow window where you put a Q on him and then he dives in. And if he gets focused, you can use your D to heal him back up. But it is good into the ETC with that knockback, with that slow. No tank actually likes playing against a Stukov, straight up, let's be honest. If you're a melee hero and there's a Stukov in the enemy team, you're like, every choke I have to walk through to get to them is going to be silenced, and I'm just going to have to walk through it. There's nothing I can really do about it. The Garrosh ban coming through. I like that Garrosh ban quite a bit. Garrosh first started seeing play in professional in Korea, specifically as a counter to ETC.
The respect.
Ooh.
The respect. I mean, the Alarak ban. And when you consider how this series is going, it's taken them 2 games, but they've strategy to take away some of these top options away from Do You Know. Alarak was doing work. Game 1 and game 2, I get it, but man, that's a surprise.
Yeah, it's one of those things you get the game 3, you don't want to ban the meta, you want to ban the things that have been giving you trouble. The Uther pickup is really smart here. It's going to deter Genji from diving in. It's going to be able to make sure he can't get that reset on his E with a Divine Shield. I like the Sonya. I like the Sonya for 2 reasons. 1, it's a very survivable bruiser, and 2, it's actually one of the better things to hat as Abathur, and taking it away from the other team gives them a much more limited pool of frontliners they can draft. And if they go back to that Infernal Shrines composition where they're drafting triple backline with an Abathur, I'm not a fan of that draft. So hopefully they pick up a melee hero here to match the Sonya.
And I do like the adjustment to Sonya. Do You Know has been baiting me all season. Got this melee assassin. So I'm wondering if they're going to do that again, but that was with Alarak being available. So I'm really curious to see what that last hero is going to be for Do You Know. We need a frontliner. I imagine we would see either Johanna or Meriden. I'm kind of slanting towards Johanna for the blind on Sonya and Hanzo, but there is an argument to be said for a Stormbolt at the right time with a silence to follow up. But I don't know. They're looking to play NBA Jam. They're looking for Diablo. I like it.
This is a really interesting decision because the Lunara is there to get everyone low and punish the Uther sustain, and then hopefully the clone Genji and Diablo just go in. The problem is Diablo has a hard time stepping up and controlling space for that poke to actually be a real thing that happens. And double, so that's going to be potentially double global with the Brightwing and potentially Stage Dive ETC. And Brightwing, double support. This is something that Freedom's been doing to great effect. I'll be curious to see if they can make it work.
And taking a note from the HGC, double support very well could be on its way back in. I've seen it be used to mixed results to varying degrees of success, but in this situation, we could very well see it do work. Do You Know continues to bait me, man. They go for 2 arguably solo laners all series. I'm like, you're not going to catch me again with that. And they go for double support. I wasn't expecting that. Who do you think came away with the stronger draft?
I really like Do You Know's draft a little bit better. They have that double front line, which is something you need. They have a hyper carry, so even though they have double support, they have the damage that they need. And Uther Brightwing against a Genji is just hell. It's hell for Genji. He's going to get stunned. He's going to get polymorph. He's going to get his damage eat away, so the armor gets negated. It negates a lot of it. Brightwing doesn't have enough sustain quite to keep up with Lunara's damage as the game goes along, and she continues to scale faster and faster than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So if this gets to the very, very late game even, there's a chance that Luxorian and Snake can take their team fights and win them, but they're going to have to lose multiple bosses in the meanwhile, so ouch.
We're going to see. I do agree. Stan is not going to be the answer to Lunara that they very well may be hoping for. But time is soon going to tell. Both of these teams have not waited at all to jump into level 1 scraps. But now that you've made it to game number 3, we could very well start to see some more conservative, we understand what's on the line style of play here from both of these teams.
You can already see like the hesitancy. Silver 1 taking some free damage there. Fun Buns as well. Without that double frontline and with early game Diablo, he can't really step up. He's so fragile until he has level 7, until he has additional souls. They just get a good wave and leave, pretty much. Yeah, we're not going to see a whole lot of aggression out of Luxorian Snake early, and I think that's the correct decision. If they do try to be aggressive, I don't think it's going to go well for them.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get to level 10. You need that comp. You need the full merits of your composition. Lately, the trend has been Lightning Breath, but there very well could be an argument for Apocalypse. Some of these tighter corridors over the tributes remains to be seen. Apocalypse and the Stukov Silence could be the difference maker here. But both teams kind of minding their P's and Q's. However, we do see Lunara first going over to get the Siege Camp with the tribute at the top right portion of the map. Now that Blake Show's going over to get his camp, Do You Know could get more value just based off the position of the tribute.
And so I think it's going to have to make sure they clear it as aggressively as possible. And as soon as Hanzo hits level 4, especially 4 and then 7, it's going to be very easy for him to do every camp. In the meantime, Skio is doing bruisers on Sonya. Again, one of the reasons you don't have stunning is she can do these early cruiser camps relatively safely. I'm just really curious how the macro is going to go this game, because Do You Know has a massive macro advantage in a lot of ways with the Brightwing, potentially, because Abathur, even though he can be there for the objective, soaking during the objective, he can be double soaking, controlling vision. The fact that they already have like a full format and then Brightwing's just like not needed, I mean, she can push lanes pretty aggressively. I'm curious if we're going to see any adaptations in terms of talents, but it looks like they're just going for the full Z build. They're not going for the macro of Brightwing.
I feel like Do You Know is going to try to maximize the value pick. I think mitigate some of the advantage of having Abathur over some of these longer progressions. Should we see more of a poke battle, posture, positioning sort of thing over the tributes? Once things really start to kick off, have her teleport in. Meanwhile, she's kind of keeping up to a degree with the soak of Abathur. The more I'm thinking about that last pick, Brightwing, to round things out, the more I'm liking it.
Yeah, and you can see she's just anchoring mid-here for a while everyone else was busy. ETC's going to come in. She can now go wherever she wants to, wherever she needs to. Nice charge by Starfox there. I think he was trying to get the mage isolated. And he can actually overpower it over the wall here to let the fort hit it, so it gets that cooldown a little faster, but it does go down. He does focus it out. And no one's soaking bottom at the moment, but they are going to break it up and start the tribute fight.
They're going to rotate up. A little bit of poison damage. Fun Bun says, "How do you know?" Hashmer gets knocked off the mount. Looks like Abathur mines are going to continue to be something of an annoyance for the team in red. I want to see how this first team fight goes, because granted, I feel like the advantage, at least early game, goes Do You Know. But we saw very confident and emboldened Luxorian Snake last game. Do they look to play aggressive now?
A little bit surprised that Brightwing's already here. Abathur, meanwhile, is soaking bottom, so they're getting a small experience advantage, which will be negated if Genji ends up going down. All the CC was burned, and he does end up. Yeah, Genji's not going to be able to do things like that into their Brightwing. That's not how that's going to work.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty rough go with things. You got the power slide to work. You're going to have a stun to follow up. Polymorph's going to turn you into a sheep, and then they're going to turn you into a corpse. You're going to get taken down exactly like we just saw. Level 6.5 about for Luxorian Snakes. So even though they lost the hero, they are netting with the Abathur soak. Again, as long as they keep things relatively even to level 10, I think they're going to feel just fine with how things are going.
Here's something that's a little unfortunate. The next tribute is going to spawn bottom right on Do You Know side of the map. And Luxorian Snake wants to delay the third tribute from happening as long as possible, because they don't want to have to fight it. Oh, Brightwing is going down. Nice gank attempt, or nice gank there by Luxorian Snake.
Conceptually nice, but in overall effect, I don't think it's too much, provided Brightwing is available. She'll be back in 8 seconds. Next tribute's not up for another 13. So there's no reason for Do You Know to go for some form of heavy engagement until everybody's back on the board. Brightwing is already back. But hey, at least showing to your opponent that you can go for those ganks, that sends a psychological message.
His cleanse was used there by either saving Hashmer from that Diablo combo and potential follow-ups. You see, Funbun's getting run down by Skios. Sonya is so good at doing this, running people down. Blake Show taking a lot of damage in the backline. Will be forced to dive over the wall, and they're winning the attrition war here for the moment.
The backline flank damage is turning into absolute and Blake Show shoots an arrow and finds a deer. That is going to be the first takedown in the fight. Shadow Chart, Star Fox 64 tries to back away. Defender's going to be able to casually pick up this next tribute to the game. Overpower into the polymorph, into Diablo getting taken down. And Genji wanted to jump in for moral support.
Ooh, and this is what we're talking about. Anytime you have an advantage as the Hanzo team, you just do boss. You win, you get one pick, you're sitting next to boss, just do boss. They're only dead for 8 seconds, doesn't matter. That's among boss tanks. We have a Hanzo. Absolutely getting melted. The Wisp comes to check and it sees the boss being done, and it's like that. We needed that information. And they can even potentially double boss off of this, and because they have the 2 tributes already, they can double boss and get curse, which is something that's basically not possible with any other hero.
The road to level 10, we were talking about it for Luxorian Snake. Get there on even terms. It's going to be potentially difficult to do that with a double boss play. Tribute in the top left corner of the map. But Clavico getting caught out is going to add further salt. ETC ended up auto-attacking the low. That would have been a difference maker, but Hanzo's a sharpshooter, baby. That's going to be 5 takedowns at a critical moment. Cav, we're looking at a boss and a curse right now. 6.5 minutes in the game.
When this happens in pro play, generally it means you guarantee a free keep. It's just like, oh, we have boss curse, we have 10, let's just go get a keep. They just push the lane out. Seeing auto attack Diablo, by the way, is something we haven't seen much in pro play, but it does have the highest ladder win rate. So very easy build to play in a lot of ways. You're guaranteed to get a lot of value out of all of your abilities, even if you can't necessarily get the sun every single time. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the delay here. Hammer's alone at the moment. Right wing Zing in is going to give him that shield and hopefully can barely let him live.
Uther Brightwing with just enough sustain. That was the takedown that Luxorian stuns Luxorian Snake for the moment. Mr. Flex, Skio, and the crew just gonna wait for Sonya Self-Par to get patched up. They got this boss rolling in the top lane. Poco is back, but without level 10, they're just gonna have to defend against this curse.
I think we have the potential to see Holy Cow with Divine Shield Mosh Pit. Instead, we are seeing Stage Dive Divine Hurricane. And Uther by himself at 16, we're going to see a little bit of a fight here. Star Fox is pretty much in Africa. He's going to go down Divine Hurricane unit value. But Uther by himself at 16 can CC a Genji from 100 to 0 with Benediction. He starts out with his E-Stun, Divine Storms, and then stuns him again, and then W's him. Genji will in fact die. That's how small his health pool is. So, yeah, having a dive hero that your support can 100 to 0 is not usually ideal.
I mean, if you can run through a Diablo that fast, Genji gonna survive. Stage Dive is available. Healthy Ball still punishing this top lane. That's gonna be Catapult. Dragon Blade goes out as level 10 gets picked up. Silver One feeling a little frisky. I'm actually surprised we didn't see Do You Know kind of take them up on that. They still had the boss that could have power slid in and looked to do some damage.
Looks like they're going for mid fort instead. They didn't have anyone split to get the minion soak either, so even though they got a keep out of that curse, they did not get the same level of minion experience that they're used to seeing. But they were already so far ahead that their primary goal was to open up the win condition. And now that boss respawns in 3 minutes. 3 minutes from now, they can take that boss again with Hanzo and win the game. All they can literally, as long as they are stoking lanes, AFK for the next 2 minutes and get that boss and just end it.
The ray of hope here for Luxurian Snake. At the moment, there isn't anything significant else for Do You Know to do. There are no bosses. The Bruiser Campers just picked up. They're about to take their own. There's 3 tributes before they have to deal with another curse. That's more than enough time. Probably a tribute and a half, so it's going to take them to level 13. As long as they don't get picked off, they're going to have another decent shot back into the game.
And they will have an even talent tier fight. They can get 13 before Do You Know gets 16. So they have a chance at an even talent tier fight with their heroics with over something. Probably going to be over a tribute. But they have to make sure that they're playing very safe in the meanwhile and not getting picked off. And this push is even a little bit aggressive from Do You Know. They do have a talent tier advantage and they do have the camp pushing, but you know, one misstep, Diablo overpowers you over the wall, and that's not going to be a fun time.
Not necessarily, and it's looking like Do You Know is looking to press the advantage while they have the level 13 talent, and why not? At the very least, you very well could bait the lower tier team into a fight that could effectively end the game, but there's no bait. You know, Star Fox 64 kept a keen eye on ETC, because if he got that overpower, threw him over the wall, that could have been the rallying cry.
They are going to just steal the siege on their way out, putting even more pressure on that catapult lane. And again, they will get 13 for this tribute fight. This is going to be a 13 to 14 tribute fight. And they have the double Genji. They have the alt power spike, the pro power spike from the Lunara. They have the Apocalypse. Hopefully, we can see them do something here.
Virulent Reaction at 13 for Stukov is going to be another tool in the overall kit that could pave the way to a success in team fights. They have Apocalypse, you throw that down, a silence for Stukov with the root afterwards. That should be enough time to lock someone down and secure a takedown. The pieces just have to come together. Mr. Flex starts to channel the tribute. Silver One at the last moment gets that shuriken in there for the deflect. And it's looking like Hashmer and the crew just kind of mounting up. They're ready to dig in for the long haul. They're like, we got catapult. Wait.
But they will be able to negate that catapult pressure quite a bit. We saw Silver One on Genji looking for that flank on the top side, but he was being watched constantly by Hanzo, constantly throwing scatters in there, throwing the vision arrow out. And as long as they can keep vision of all the threats, it's going to be very hard to get a clean engage here. And we are going to have a pause.
At a critical moment in the overall proceedings. I know someone paused earlier because the keyboard was having some issues. Now apparently we got some lag. I wouldn't want to go into this team fight lagging either. Definitely can understand that. Both teams have all their heroics on the board. This is going to be, in my opinion, a defining fight because if do you know gets 2 or 3 heroes that get a full ace, that bottom boss is up now in the bottom lane. That's going to be pretty rough. If we do see Luxorian Snake win the next team fight, though, they can go through the bottom 4 with the boss, start to establish themselves on the map, and climb their way back into the game.
That is the first thing they should do if they win this fight. They should get the tribute, get the boss, maybe even rotate for the other boss just to take off the map, because anytime the enemy team has a boss up and they have a Hanzo, you're like, well, they have a Hanzo, let's just not have it.
Back in the action, though. Lag is passed. Star Fox 64 getting poked. Blake Show is really applying pressure to Diablo, so that by the time he jumps in, he's already at 75, 80% health. That's having a huge impact. How these team fights have been going. But he does have 100 souls, so he'll be back in 5 seconds to get taken down. He's also going to be pretty neat. Shadow Charge goes in. Overpower. Dragon Hour only lands on 1442. There's a Divine Storm. Our keys get pressed. The Polymorph. Genji's going to get first, get taken down. Skio, meanwhile, living their life on the back line, cleans up Stukov too.
Oof, that was a brutal fight. And again, Genji into Divine Storm. You just can never go in until Divine Storm has been used, because Uther can 100% shoot you by himself. If anyone's helping, it's even easier. They're going to see Skio with the rundown here. Did take Spear at 13, did not go for that movement speed, so it's going to be a little bit harder. Diablo goes down in the back line in the meanwhile. His catapults are stacking up top, but they're going to play conservatively. They're going to go for the double boss again, and bottom boss will have to be defended or open to keep, and then top boss will be able to end.
For the rest of this game, I'm not calling that Divine anymore. That is gone. It's just like, he shows up, he gets anywhere near the team fight, that Divine Storm's coming out, Polymorph is coming out, and he's serving no overall function or purpose for the rest of the team fight. I think that's a huge adjustment. It's been pretty much winning these team fights single-handedly.
Unfortunately, he did not. He did go Dragon Blade, did not go X-Strike. With X-Strike, there's some potential counterplay. You could dodge the Divine Hurricane or Divine Storm if you were really good. If you were like, oh, he's going to do it right now, I hit X-Strike. Right. He's essentially using it as a self-cleanse. With that Dragon Blade, there's actually nothing he can do except not go in at all.
Yeah, it's a little ambitious to think you're going to be able to swing the Ginsu knife for that long throughout the entire duration of a Dragon Blade. Hasn't exactly played out for him just yet. Coast to coast, both bosses are now picked up for Do You Know. Top lane is exposed. Level 16 not exactly yet here for Luxurian Snake. Back against the ropes. Game 3, this could be the closeout move.
Shall we see who gathers enough?
I like that move of trying to get the siege camp out in time, but it was a little bit split. It was not everyone was on it, so it is going to be pushing now with the boss instead of against the boss, which is what they were hoping for. Stage dive ETC, by the way, 18 seconds until the tribute spawns. He does have stage dive available, so he can get the trigger curse, and still be there at the fight anytime his team needs him, even if he has to knock out the tribute in order to do it.
And we've seen ETC use the stage dive just to close behind him. In and a casual right click of the mouse is going to negate the entire value of that heroic. Spinning a wince, Skio on the back line, kicks out the Wrath of the Berserker, Dragon Strike goes in, Genji gone, not used on Genji this time actually. Fun Buns isn't having too much of that, uses the Leaping Strike, the great effect to just narrowly avoid certain death. Diablo is going to get taken down without 100 souls. This could be the beginning of the end.
Madness energy there. It was supposed to be arrow into Divine Storm, instead it was arrow into Divine Storm plus Bright Ring, pushing them away, then they'll win. But it doesn't even matter. They secured the kills they need to secure. Boss is pushing. There's no way that they saved this, I don't think, and that's going to be core. GG. Well played to Do You Know.
Very well played by both of these teams. I mean, this is just kind of the first round of the Open Division, and we're seeing this kind of competitive play. Very inspiring draft picks. We saw it in Alarak, second ban in Game 3. I know Skio feels good about that. I feel good about it, and I'm just watching the game.
It's always nice when you have you're really good at a particular hero and it gets banned against you. You're like, yes, I'm actually good at that hero, because there's no way they ban that hero unless they don't want to deal with it, unless they actually think that you're good at it. And who would know better than the people that you've been playing against all night?
Yeah, I mean, in the immediate term, it's like, guys, we have not yet found an answer for Alarak. We get pulled in, we get silenced. Let's just ban it. We can play in scrims, deal with that another day. But for right now, we're banning this bad boy out. They are going to advance. Do You Know And I think they've been waiting for Team Numerics, featuring some players I'm very familiar with, protagonists in their own right. Do you know's playing really well? I think we're going to have another really good series on our hands, Kat.
And that's the nice thing about Open lately. So far this year, really, the Open teams have been much stronger than in previous years. We talked about that at the beginning of the cast. Everyone sort of leveled up a little bit, and we get to see. It's not pro level play, but it's other people's take on what they can do with the hero pools that they have, with the way they understand the meta, and it's much more competitive than it's really ever been. Like, the scene just gets better every year, and it's amazing to watch the growth of the last few years and see how much better people have gotten at the game.
I mean, you look at the Open Division last year, there was a lot of star power, and there is a lot of star heroes. We got an Open Division team going to top 8 on the planet. So it's not just like some crazy notion. We could very well see the next dominant team of the region rise from the ashes out of the Open Division and really do some damage at the HGC level. We're seeing teams capable of doing that already. But we're going to take a short break before we get the next series started. It's going to be Do You Know, taking on Team Numerics. I'm very excited to see how it plays out. See you back in a few minutes.